Tonight we dream in stone halls and chant under vaulted ceilings. You're a young novice, new to the monastery, where incense masks mildew and every echo sounds like a whisper from something watching. You've left the world behind. No market noise, no family chatter, no tavern songs drifting through the streets. Just the toll of bells, the scratch of quills, and the eternal hush of God's house. But sleep comes strangely here, too suddenly, too deep. And what wakes you isn't the sun. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your footsteps echo as you enter the cloister for the first time, sandals brushing the worn stone. The monastery sits atop a wind-blown hill, miles from the nearest village. You arrived yesterday, a sack of rough clothes over your shoulder, a borrowed Bible in your hand, and the first stubble of a tonsure itching at the back of your head. The gate had closed behind you with a sound like finality. They warned you before coming here. It's quiet. It's holy. It's old. They didn't say how old. Inside, the air is cold in a way that doesn't match the season. Autumn clings to the outside world, red leaves falling from apple trees. But in here, it feels like late winter, damp, unmoving, preserved. The walls sweat. The windows weep. When you pass the chapel, the crucifix seems to tilt slightly towards you, just enough to make you question your angle. Brother Eligius, the infirmarian, gives you the tour and whispers. He has a voice like dry parchment. He points out the refectory, the scriptoria, the dormitories, the abbot's quarters. That hallway, he mutters, nodding toward an arched passage sealed with a rusted iron gate, is not in use. You nod, of course. You'll obey. They give you a bed, thin blanket, a straw-stuffed sack that's either your mattress or a medieval joke. And as night comes on and the bells toll Compline, the great silence begins. No talking, no movement, no questions, just prayer and sleep. But your first night in that bed, it doesn't feel like sleep. It feels like falling. You jolt awake sometime after midnight. No sound, no footsteps, just your own breath, harsh and fast in the stone chamber. Everyone else sleeps. Row after row of young novices lying flat on their backs. You alone sit up. The moon glows white through the window, just enough light to see the outline of the crucifix above your bed. But it's wrong. The figure on the cross is looking at you, not just facing your direction, looking at you. Eyes open, mouth curled, not in agony, but in amusement. And you blink and stare harder until it becomes just wood again. Just sculpture, just your imagination. Still, it leaves your skin clammy. You lie back down and close your eyes. But that's when the dream begins. You're standing in the cloister, alone. The arches stretch impossibly tall. Statues of saints line the path, but each one has a blank face. Their hands point downward toward the stone tiles. One tile is black, not stained. Oily and warm. You kneel to touch it and your hand sinks through. Then it's heat, fire, but not burning. You hear music, not hymns, not chants. Something more like laughter that's been slowed down to a crawl, like a choir of hyenas singing in reverse. You're falling again, and this time you don't hit the floor. You open your eyes. The dormitory is silent, but something is off. You can't hear the others breathing. You look down the row. Every bed is empty, every blanket folded. The entire dormitory is deserted, except for you, and a single candle that now burns on the floor beside your bed. No one lit it. No one is there. Yet wax drips. You blink again, and just like that, everyone is back. The beds, the bodies, the gentle sound of men breathing in sleep. The candle is gone. Morning comes late. You stumble through matins with a pounding head, your eyes bloodshot. Brother Matthias notices and offers you willow bark for the ache. New place, strange dreams, he says gently. You nod, smile, play along, but you can still feel the heat of that black tile. And when you pass the cloister on the way to morning chores, something inside you turns cold, because one of the tiles is black. Just one. Perfectly clean, perfectly polished. The others are dust-covered and faded from years of rain and wear, but that one tile shines. You look up at the statues lining the cloister wall, and yes, one of them does seem faceless now. No features, no name. You keep walking. Later, while sweeping the chapel floor, you catch Brother Jerome muttering at the altar. He's not praying in Latin. It's not even a language you recognize. His hands are shaking, his eyes dart to the windows. He doesn't see you watching. That night, you find wax under your pillow, a pale lump, still warm. As you lie in bed, the air smells of burning myrrh, but no one has lit incense since Vespers, and when you sleep again, the dream returns. This time, you are in the scriptorium, alone. The books have mouths. They whisper things about you, things only you know. You reach for a quill, but it's made of bone. The ink is red, and when you wake, you find a Latin word scrawled on your blanket in charcoal. It shall be opened. Section 2. You drag yourself through morning prayers with a tightness in your chest. Your tongue feels dry, like you've been chewing on cloth. Brother Ambrosius notices your sluggishness and gives you a half-hearted smile as he passes. The first month is always the hardest, he whispers. You'll get used to the silence. But it isn't the silence that's getting to you. It's the word on your blanket, appariatur. You didn't write it. You're sure of that. The handwriting isn't yours. It's tight, curved, too elegant, like the hand of a master scribe. And even if somehow you had written it, why would you use that word? It shall be opened. What is it? The thought hums under your skin all day. Even the routine, the chanting, the cleaning, the copying, feels brittle now, like any sudden movement might snap it. You're supposed to be focusing on humility, on surrender. That's the whole point of monastic life, but your eyes twitch constantly toward dark corners. Your ears are hungry for footsteps that don't belong. By the afternoon, you're assigned your first task in the scriptorium, copying passages from the Psalms. It should be meditative, peaceful. The room is lit by pale daylight filtering through high stained glass windows. Each monk scribbles at his own desk, heads bowed, scratching quietly with their quills. You settle into your station, inkpot, fresh parchment, and sharpened nib ready. Psalm 23. Simple, familiar. The Lord is my shepherd. But as you begin writing, something strange happens. The words resist you. It's subtle at first. Your hand slips, the ink blots. You start a line and without realizing change it midway. Instead of he maketh me to lie down in green pastures, you've written he maketh me to lie down in black stone. You blink, confused. You scratch it out. Start over. But the next sentence changes too, and this time you don't notice until you finish the entire verse. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of him, I shall fear no light. No light? You look around. No one seems to notice. The other monks are quietly absorbed in their own pages, the only sound the rhythmic brushing of quills on vellum. You flip the page, try again. But it happens again and again. Each line twists subtly into something darker, more pointed. The grammar stays flawless. The structure is perfect. But the content, it's wrong. And worse than wrong, it feels deliberate, like something is guiding your hand. Then, in the margin of one sheet, something appears without your intention. 3 tiny marks. You didn't draw those. You'd swear on your soul. But there they are, inked clean, geometric, precise, like a symbol burned into the page through your fingers. You freeze. Is something wrong, brother? The voice comes from behind. Brother Ulrich, the master of the scriptorium. His eyes are pale, watery, and slightly too wide. You hesitate, shake your head. No, brother, just tired. He leans forward slightly, peers at your sheet. You expect him to notice the errors, the triangle symbols, maybe even scold you, but instead he smiles. A strong hand, he says, very expressive, and walks away. You don't know what that means, but the back of your neck itches for hours afterward. That night, sleep comes quickly, too quickly. Your body hits the mattress and is gone, like a stone falling into deep water. This time, the dream is different. You're back in the cloister, but it's snowing now. Thick, black flakes drift from the sky like ash. The ground is covered, but there are footprints leading toward the sealed hallway, the one Brother Eligius told you was not in use. You follow them. The gate that once barred the path is open. Inside, the air is warm, sweet. It smells of honey and burning parchment. The hallway curves downward, endlessly spiraling. You walk and walk and walk, and the walls become less like stone and more like flesh, damp, pulsing, breathing. At the bottom is a room, round, featureless, except for the altar and the thing standing behind it. It's not horned, not red, it's not even grotesque. It's tall, dressed like a monk, robes pristine, hands folded. But its face is yours, except older, smiling, calm. It speaks, and the voice is velvet soaked in oil. Welcome, brother. You've already opened the door. You jolt awake. This time you're not in bed. You're in the cloister, barefoot, and the gate to the sealed hallway is open. You run back to the dormitory. Your feet are freezing, mud caked to your toes. You slip back into bed, panting, ears straining for movement. None comes. Morning breaks. The gate is closed again. You ask Brother Religious about it. He frowns. The gate? Still locked. Always locked. You ask if anyone's ever gone down there. He doesn't answer. Instead, he hands you a new set of pages to copy. Pages from the Book of Job. Suffering, silence, Satan's wager. You open the manuscript. The first word of the first line is bolded, though the ink is old. Aperiator, the same word. And in the margin, faint but unmistakable, 3 triangles again. You look up at the ceiling of the scriptorium. A fresco of the Ascension gazes down at you. But behind the painted Christ, a crack in the plaster stretches like a smile across the vaulted stone. Later in the chapel, you see Brother Jerome again. He's on his knees, whispering into the floor. Not praying, just whispering. You lean in to catch a phrase. He says, he is waking, the door is open. The ink was never just ink. You pretend not to hear. But that night, you find a single black feather on your pillow, and your hands, your fingers are stained with ink. Only, you didn't copy anything that day. Section 3. The monastery's routines keep moving as if nothing is wrong. Matins, breakfast, labor, prayer, silence. The world around you continues its ancient turning, but inside you, something begins to crack. The feather stays with you. You hide it in your blanket folds during the day, though you don't know why. It's not from any bird you've seen, long, thin, oily black, and when you touch it, it hums faintly, like plucked string or a breath caught just before a scream. You think about showing it to someone, Brother Matthias maybe, but something in you, something new, warns against it. Not fear, exactly. Just instinct. You keep it. The next day you are assigned to assist in the library, a privilege for novices, though no one looks thrilled to be there. The library is colder than the scriptorium. It smells of old wood, leather, and dried blood, though that last part might be in your head. Shelves tower around you, crooked like old teeth, everyone sagging under the weight of hundreds of years of scripture, philosophy, heresy. You're told to dust and sort. Simple. But there's a rule. Do not open the red-bound volumes. Brother Ulrich tells you that. He says it casually, like he's warning you about spoiled bread. They're for the abbot's study, he says. The contents are not for you. Naturally, within 20 minutes you find one. Far back on the lowest shelf, behind a stack of French saints' lives, lies a book about the size of your forearm, bound in cracked red leather. No title, no mark on the spine. It's tucked between volumes as if hiding. You hesitate. You don't open it. Not yet. But you do touch it. It's warm. The other books are cold, even in your hands, but this one seems to breathe beneath the leather, pulsing faintly like something alive. A whisper stirs in your ear, faint as candle smoke. Read me. You jerk your hand away. But when you look down again, the book is gone. You glance under the shelf. Behind it, between the other tomes, nothing. It just isn't there anymore. You don't mention it. That evening, at Vespers, you glance toward Brother Jerome during the reading of Psalm 91. He's staring at the wall, lips moving, but not with the words everyone else is saying. He's ahead, far ahead, reciting verses that haven't been read in weeks. And his eyes are bleeding. Just a line. A single line of red, like a tear running from the corner of each eye. No one else sees it. Or no one else reacts. You blink, and he's fine again. Eyes clear, hands folded. You begin to wonder whether you are dreaming even while awake. That night after the final bell, you decide not to sleep. Instead, you go to the chapel and sit quietly in one of the side pews, just watching, listening. The moonlight drips in through the tall glass windows, casting fractured saints across the floor. For the first hour, nothing happens. Then you hear it, the low thump of footsteps, barefoot, heavy, uneven. You press yourself against the pew, heart hammering. The footsteps approach the altar. You peek around the corner. Brother Eligius stands there in his night robe, back to you, head bowed. In his hands is the red-bound book, the one that vanished. He opens it. The air changes, warmer again, and sweet, almost sickeningly sweet, like fermenting fruit and roses left to rot in the sun. You can't see the pages, but you hear the words. Not out loud, not from him, from behind your eyes. They speak in your mind in a voice you recognize but can't name, and the words aren't Latin, Greek, or any human language. They sound like knives sliding over stone. You don't understand them, but you feel them, and then Eligius begins to hum, a slow, soft tune. Not unpleasant, but not holy either. It sounds familiar. And then you remember, it's the same melody you heard in your dream. The slow, reverse choir laugh that had twisted into music. You stumble backward and knock over a wooden stool. The sound cracks like thunder in the silent chapel. Eligius turns, but his face, it's not his. It's yours. Smiling, calm, just like the thing behind the altar in your dream. You run. You don't remember reaching your bed. Only the sound of your own breath and the sensation of being chased, even though no one follows. When you wake the next morning, you find the red-bound book at the foot of your bed. No one else seems to see it. You carry it with shaking hands back to the library, intending to return it to the shelf. But when you get there, the shelf is gone. Not the book, the entire section is gone, as if the wall was never built to hold shelves in the first place. The dust on the floor is undisturbed. You look down at the book. Its cover has changed. No longer plain, it now bears a single word in deep pressed ink, Veritas, truth. You open it. The first page is blank. The second, blank. But on the third, in neat black ink, he sees you when you sleep. You slam it shut. You take it to the abbot. You mean to confess, to hand it over, to beg for help. But when you arrive at the abbot's study, the door is open, and no one is inside. Just the scent of roses and parchment. And on the desk, your latest copywork, Psalm 23 again. But it's not your writing. It's the same words from the dream version, I shall fear no light. And underneath a single phrase, he comes in silence. You take the book with you, back to your bed, you lock it in your trunk, you don't sleep that night. But sometime before dawn, when your body finally gives in, you dream of fire again. And this time, someone stands at the center of it. You can't see their face, but they reach out their hand, and you take it. Section 4. Morning light brings no comfort now. It barely breaks through the high, narrow windows, and when it does, it feels too pale, more like memory than sun. Your eyes burn, your limbs drag, but you keep moving through the motions. Morning bells, washing, silent prayer, then the familiar routine of ink and repetition. Today's assignment is Psalm 91 again. You hesitate when you see it. The same psalm Brother Jerome was reciting out of sync, the one you barely heard over the sound of invisible bleeding. Still, you sit down and dip your quill, but the parchment fights you, literally. Your quill skitters across the surface like it's slick with oil, letters warping the moment they hit the page. At first, you think you're imagining it, but no, words rearrange themselves as you look at them. What should read, he shall cover thee with his feathers, instead becomes, he shall cover thee with his silence. You scratch it out. Again. Same result. Worse, the ink begins to bead and form shapes. Not letters. Eyes, tiny ink dots widening into circles, clustered in margins, in between verses, some even blinking before they sink back into blotches. You stop writing, and notice something else. Everyone else in the scriptorium is still, too still. Heads bowed, unmoving, not scribbling, not reading. You walk down the row. Brother Julian's hand is frozen in midair, quill hovering over his parchment. Brother Isidorus is turned to the wall, face inches from stone, unmoving. Brother Matthias is staring at a candle, not blinking, not breathing. They're not asleep, they're paused. Then you hear it, scratching, behind you. You turn. No one's there. But your own desk, the page you abandoned, is still being written on. Letters appear one by one in real time. You step closer. They're forming your name. Then beneath that, why did you open it? You back away slowly. The room returns all at once. Quills scratching, monks shifting in seats, the trance broken. No one notices what just happened. No one but you. You take the parchment and hide it in your robe. Not out of guilt, out of some new growing instinct. A sense that this, whatever this is, won't end unless you follow it. That afternoon you return to the cloister. Alone. The black tile is still there. Still clean, still gleaming. You kneel beside it and press your fingers to its surface. It's warm again. You knock. Once, nothing. Twice, a whisper, come below. The tile doesn't move, but the air does. A sudden gust rushes up from beneath, carrying a smell you know too well by now, roses and ash. That night you do not dream. But your body is covered in soot when you wake. The feather under your blanket is gone. In its place is something worse. A tooth. Human. Yellow. Smooth from age. Wrapped in a piece of vellum that simply reads, "You've tasted the ink. Now taste the bone." You are done pretending this is in your head. You skip your next assignment. You don't go to prayers. You return to the chapel, empty during midday. The red-bound book is in your hands again. You no longer wonder how it appears. You open it, and this time the pages are no longer blank. They tell stories. Horrible stories. Not parables, not scripture. Histories of monks hundreds of years ago who disappeared from this very monastery. One burned alive in the bell tower. Another drowned in the holy well, yet his lungs were filled with dust, not water. A third went mad, tearing out his own eyes and smearing words across the chapel floor in blood. The book records these in detail, and each ends with a phrase, "And the gate opened wider." You realize what the black tile is, a gate, a seal, a thin place. You realize the dreams are invitations, and you realize you haven't been alone since the night you arrived. It's with you now. You test this by going to the refectory for supper. You sit, eat nothing, just observe. And then you do something reckless. You look up, straight at the crucifix on the wall, and you say, under your breath, so quiet no one hears, "Are you still watching?" The lights go out. Candles extinguish themselves. Monks gasp. One begins to pray in Latin, panicked. Another falls from his seat. But in the dark you see just fine, because across from you at the other end of the table is a figure seated calmly, robed. Still, you blink, and it's gone. The candles relight, the meal continues, and no one mentions what just happened. You begin to understand what it means to live under possession, not of your soul, but of your time, your thoughts. The hours slip, the days bend. Things once fixed, walls, rules, the bell tower, now seem loose, like you're walking on the skin of something bigger, breathing just below. You return to your cell that night with trembling hands. You light a candle. You stare at the wall for hours. At some point, you notice something carved faintly into the stone, marks you've never seen before, tiny triangles. And beneath them, scrawled in Latin, you read, "Quia nullus dormit hic," for none sleep here. And you realize something terrifying. You haven't actually slept in days. You've only been falling, deeper and deeper. Section 5. You stop marking time by the bells. Their tones no longer comfort you, just hollow clangs in the air, like reminders from a world that hasn't realized it's already gone. Each day you perform the rituals of obedience. You bow when expected. You copy what you're given. You nod in rhythm with prayers, but your thoughts are no longer your own. They drift like smoke from an unseen fire, curling towards something deeper inside the monastery. Something below. Something waiting. And it's not just you anymore. Others are changing too. Brother Jerome no longer eats. You see him sitting at meals, spoon unmoving, mouth murmuring silent psalms, while his eyes flick constantly toward the chapel door. Brother Ulrich's skin has taken on a grayish tone, as if he's been dusted in ash. When he speaks, it's always a little too softly, a little too slow, like he's unsure if the words are real. And Brother Matthias, he laughs now, at nothing, while scrubbing the floor or trimming the candles, small, sharp laughs, always followed by whispered apologies into his sleeve. You ask what's wrong. He smiles. It helps him sleep. You don't ask who him is. Today you're sent to the bell tower. You've avoided it so far. It's where the dreams began, the burned room, the scorched stones, the bells that ring even when the ropes hang slack. Brother Eligius hands you a brass key and says, "Dust the upper chamber." It hasn't been opened in some time. That's a lie. You know it's been opened recently. You heard it in a dream, or was it real? At this point, there's no difference. Still, you nod, take the key, and make your way up the spiral steps. The air changes as you climb, colder, thinner. Each step echoes in ways that don't quite match the rhythm of your feet. The climb is long. You pass tiny slit windows, each darker than the last. On the walls, old carvings have worn down into abstract shapes, but some still remain, those 3 triangles, scratched over and over in uneven rows. Finally, you reach the door. It's iron, heavy, covered in soot stains. You turn the key. The door opens with a groan that sounds too much like a voice. Inside, a small stone chamber, bare walls, a single chair. The bell rope dangles unmoving, yet the whole room seems to vibrate. You step in. The smell hits you immediately: ash, sweat, beeswax, and something sickly sweet beneath it all. On the wall, opposite the door, a phrase is etched into the stone in rough, panicked strokes: Ego sum qui vigilat. I am the one who watches. And beneath it, smeared with something dark: Clangit iterum. It shall ring again. Your skin prickles. In the center of the floor lies a circle of burnt parchment. Inside it, melted candle stubs form an incomplete ring. You step closer and spot a scrap of vellum near the chair. You pick it up. It's a page from one of your own copybooks, Psalm 91 again. But this version ends differently. The final line has been replaced: He shall cover thee with his feathers, followed by, and pluck out thine eyes with a smile. You blink. Turn it over. On the back is a drawing, not intricate, childlike. A stick figure beneath a towering shape, wings made of black triangles, mouth a wide circle filled with teeth. You pocket the scrap, then you hear the bell. It rings once. Loud, violent, though the rope has not moved. Dust rains from the ceiling. You cover your ears. It rings again. A second toll, and a third. Your knees buckle. You crawl toward the door, pulling yourself back into the stairwell. As you stagger down, the echoes follow you, not just in sound, but in sensation, as if the bell's vibrations are inside your bones. When you reach the base, Brother Jerome is there. He says nothing, just stares up past you. Then he speaks, barely above a whisper. He's awake now. We all felt it. You drop the key into his hand and walk away. Back in your cell, the candle won't stay lit. You try again and again, striking flint, shielding the wick, but each time the flame flares, it's immediately snuffed out, like someone is breathing on it from across the room. You give up. In the dark, the red-bound book waits on your bed. You never left it there. You never bring it, yet it's always there when you need to see it. Or maybe when it needs to see you. You open it. Tonight, the story is about a monk who fled the monastery in the 12th century. He tried to escape through the woods, barefoot in winter. For 3 days he ran, surviving on roots and snow. Then one morning, villagers found his body at the monastery gate, curled in a fetal position, frozen solid, face twisted not in fear, but in laughter. At the bottom of the page, the text simply reads, "He was never far, he is already in the silence." You turn the page, it's blank. You turn again, another drawing. This time, it's the monastery. A crude outline of the grounds, chapel, cloister, dormitories, bell tower. But beneath it all, a spiral staircase drawn in red ink descends through the earth. You trace it with your finger. It leads to a shape, circular, surrounded by triangles. A note beneath says, "The door lies not in stone, but in obedience." You close the book and hear whispering again, not from the walls, but from beneath your bed. You crouch. There in the shadows are 2 glowing red dots, eyes, watching. They blink once and vanish. You back away slowly, curl up against the wall, knees to your chest, and stare into the dark. Somewhere far off, the bell tolls again, just once. Section 6. The next morning, the monastery smells like smoke. Not heavy, not visible, just a trace, enough to stain the back of your throat. You ask Brother Eligius if something burned overnight. He looks up from his mortar and pestle with tired eyes and says, "Just the old incense." But you both know that's not true. You've begun to notice that everyone is lying now, even the gentle ones, even yourself. The ash in the air isn't incense, it's memory. You're sent back to the library, not to organize this time, to clean. The shelves are thick with dust, cobwebs hang like veils, and books sag on their bindings like weary bodies. But as you pass the shelf where the red-bound book used to rest, before it started showing up in your cell, you stop. It's not just the red book that's missing. The shelf itself is warm, like the bell tower, like the black tile, like breath. You lean in, pressing your palm against the oak. It pulses once, not a vibration, a heartbeat, and in that moment your vision flickers. The room disappears for a second, replaced by something deeper, red walls lined with spines of flesh, lit by candlelight made of bone. A library beneath the monastery. Then it's gone. You stagger back. A whisper drips into your ear like oil. Keep reading. Later you return to the scriptorium. You're given a new assignment. Except it's not scripture. It's blank. Just a pile of clean vellum and a single quill already inked. Brother Ulrich nods to you. Transcribe what you hear. You blink. Hear from where? He doesn't answer. Just walks away. You sit and wait. At first, nothing. Then it begins. A thought. Not yours. A sentence, clear and cold. He walks beneath your breath. You write it. Another follows. He feeds on silence. He dwells in obedience. You write that too. Your hand moves faster now, not guided by will, but something deeper. The words pour like water, forming verses that feel old but new at the same time. You glance around. No one seems to notice. When you finish the first sheet, you set it aside. It begins to smoke, just faintly. Then the ink peels upward, lifts off the page in slow curls and dissipates into the air like the parchment is forgetting what you wrote. You stare, heart pounding. Then you turn over the second sheet and see something already written. The gate is almost open. You didn't write that. That night you return to the bell tower. You're not summoned, not instructed, but you must. It's calling you now, constantly, like a pulse in the base of your skull. You unlock the tower door. It's cold this time, not warm like before, dry and hollow, as if the fire's gone out, but the coals are still alive deep under the stones. You climb. Each step feels longer than the last. When you reach the top, you expect silence. Instead, you hear chanting. Low, monotone, not Latin, not any language you recognize. It comes from inside the walls. You search for its source, and your eyes catch something new, a trapdoor behind the bell, nearly invisible under soot and bird droppings. You reach for it. It groans open. A ladder leads down. This isn't on any map. You've never heard of it. You descend, rung after rung, into cold and damp and something else, a pressure, like your chest is being wrung out. At the bottom, a narrow corridor, carved from stone but uneven, almost clawed out. The walls are wet. The air is thick. Your candle sputters but holds. You follow the passage. Eventually it opens into a round chamber, small, empty, except, no, not empty. There's something on the far wall. You step closer and realize it's a mirror, cracked, blackened at the edges, but unmistakably a mirror. You haven't seen your reflection in days. You lean forward and stare. At first it's just you, tired, thin, hair matted, eyes sunken. Then your reflection smiles. But you don't. Its mouth moves. Your real one doesn't. Then it says without sound, just movement. It's almost time. Behind you, the bell rings once. When you turn, the corridor is gone. Just stone and silence. You wake in bed. You don't remember returning. You don't remember leaving. The red-bound book is there again on your chest this time. You open it with trembling hands. Tonight, it doesn't tell a story. It asks a question. Do you still want to be saved? And beneath it, written in a script that looks eerily like your own. Say yes and forget. Say no and remember. You put the book aside. You do not sleep. Instead, you sit up in the dark listening. And after some time, you hear it again, the chanting from under the floorboards, growing louder. Section 7. You don't speak to anyone the next morning. You can't. Your voice feels distant, like something you borrowed long ago and forgot how to return. You move through laws with a hollow rhythm. Kneel, cross, murmur, rise. No one comments on your silence. Perhaps they don't notice. Or perhaps they're silent for the same reason. That chanting hasn't stopped. It's beneath everything now. Not just under your cell, but under the entire monastery. Beneath the cloister, the garden, the refectory. A constant murmur just below hearing, as if the stone foundation is humming with ancient breath. The black tile in the cloister has changed. You notice it just before midday. It's no longer just warm, it's wet. You kneel beside it again, this time without fear. You press your fingers to the surface. They sink half an inch into what feels like skin. Your stomach turns, but you don't pull away. You knock once, a pause, then a return knock. From below, you rise, heart hammering against your ribs. You glance at the statues. The faceless one seems closer now. No, not closer, bigger. Or maybe you're shrinking. Later in the library, Brother Ulrich gives you a new task, cataloging the heretical shelf. He says it with a smile. You know better than to ask what makes a book heretical. There are many books here that should not exist. Some are written in mirror script. Others have no text at all, only illustrations that seem to move when you're not looking. One is bound in bark. Another smells strongly of salt, as if dredged up from the bottom of the sea. You're drawn to one with a cover made of tightly woven black thread. There's no title, but when you open it, the pages are covered in music. Choral notation, but the notes are all downward, step by step. The kind of melody that if sung, might drag your soul behind it like a ship caught in a whirlpool. In the margin of the last page is a warning, not to be sung under an open sky. You close it quickly. Another book is in Latin, but not the formal script you're used to. It's hurried, erratic, filled with desperate ink strokes and blots. It appears to be a confession, but the scribe never signs his name. His first line reads, "I saw the gate and it saw me back." Further down, he wears the habit of a monk, but beneath it are stars and teeth. At the bottom of the page, in a trembling hand, "Burn this book. If it returns, run." You place it on the table. The candle beside it gutters low. A spark spits, then the page turns on its own. You step back, the flame goes out, and across the blank page now sits a message, written freshly in black. Too late. You flee the library. That night, the dormitory is empty when you return. Or maybe the others are simply lying still again, beyond breathing. The moonlight through the stained glass window casts twisted saints on your blanket. You lie down, close your eyes, and wait for the dream. It doesn't come. Instead, you wake in the cloister, standing, barefoot, surrounded by candles. They are arranged in a spiral, with you at the center. You are holding something. The red-bound book. Open. But you haven't read anything. You haven't even turned a page. And yet your voice is reading aloud. The words spill from your mouth in that not language, that serpentine tongue made of echo and shadow. Your own hands start to shake. You drop the book. The candles extinguish, and from the shadows of the arches, something steps forward. Not quickly, not dramatically. It just walks into view. A figure in a hood, you see only its mouth, smiling, too wide, too calm. And a hand, human-looking but fingers just a little too long, reaches out. You can't move. It touches your chest and whispers one word, not out loud, but into your blood. A periator. You wake in your bed, but your hands are burned, palms red, skin cracked like you've held hot iron. You hide them with your sleeves. During breakfast, Brother Matthias sits beside you. He stirs his porridge slowly, eyes fixed on the table. "I heard it last night," he says quietly. You don't answer. He glances at your hands, then says, "He's almost through." You turn to him. "Who?" Matthias smiles faintly, then whispers, "The monk with no face." After that, things fall apart quickly. Chores are forgotten. Bells go unanswered. Meals are left untouched. Brothers walk in circles through the cloister, murmuring phrases that never end. You pass one monk who's facing the wall and reciting the same three words, "Not the gate, not the gate, not the..." You don't disturb him. That night, there's no dream. Because you don't sleep. None of you do. Instead, you lie in bed and feel it, the vibration, coming up through the stone, from under the tile. And in your mind, a voice hums the downward chant from the thread-bound book, over and over, until it becomes the only thing you know, and your mouth begins to move in time with it. Section 8. The sun rises like an afterthought. No birdsong, no warmth, just a faint yellow smear across the sky, struggling to pierce the mist that settled permanently over the monastery. You sit on the edge of your cot, watching the light crawl across the stone floor like something nervous. You no longer bother with the routine. No prayers, no bell, no ablutions. No one knocks at your door, because the monks have stopped pretending. This morning, when you step into the corridor, the walls are covered in symbols. They weren't there last night. Long, sweeping marks in ash or blood, you can't tell. Some resemble Latin letters twisted beyond recognition. Others are shapes, circles with teeth, eyes with multiple pupils, triangles pointing downward. Most repeat a central motif, a gate surrounded by flame, and a robed figure with no face. You hear laughter, not joyful, just aware. You follow the sound to the refectory. Inside, the long tables are empty, but the food is still set. Stew, bread, wine, untouched. Flies gather in silence. You move to the far end of the room. There, slumped over one table, is Brother Jerome. His head is turned toward the wall. His body is perfectly still. You call his name. Nothing. You step closer. That's when you see it. His eyes are gone. Not gouged, not bloody, just gone. The sockets are clean, smooth, as though someone simply took them. His face is peaceful. A folded slip of parchment rests in his hand. You pry it loose and open it. Inside, a phrase written in your own handwriting. He sees better in the dark. You leave. You don't even feel yourself walking. The entire monastery is breathing now. The stones are warmer beneath your feet. The candles flicker in time with your pulse. The shadows lean when you pass. You don't go back to your room. You go down, back to the cloister, to the black tile. It's no longer pretending to be stone, it's flesh now. Dark and glossy, veined with dull gold threads, it pulses visibly, warm to the touch, damp with something that smells like myrrh and rot. You kneel beside it, you speak aloud, voice hoarse. What do you want? Nothing answers. Then you hear a sound, like chains dragging across tile from below. The tile throbs once and begins to open. It doesn't crack or lift, it dilates, a slow, wet spiral yawning outward, revealing a staircase descending into red-black shadow. You stand, you step inside. The stairs are narrow, the walls wet. You descend by candlelight, though you don't remember bringing one. After the 50th step, the stone changes. No longer smooth, now ribbed like vertebrae. The air grows hotter, heavier. Breathing becomes difficult, like trying to inhale soup. The chanting returns, closer now. This time you understand a word. Domus, the house. You keep going. Eventually, the stair opens into a circular chamber. Familiar. You've seen it in dreams. In the center stands an altar. Upon it, a book, but not the red-bound one. This one is bone, literally. The cover is made of pressed vertebrae, sealed by two jawbones acting as clasps. You approach, you open it. Inside, only one page. And it reads, "You are the last key." Behind you, someone steps into the room. You don't turn, you don't have to, you know who it is. He stands at your back, tall, robed, silent. You speak. "I didn't ask for this." He places a hand on your shoulder. It's not cold, it's fever warm. A whisper fills the chamber, spoken by neither of you, but from the walls themselves. But you were made for it. Later, when you climb back up, if you climb back up, the monastery is different. You emerge into the chapel, but the pews are gone. So are the windows. The walls are draped in black cloth. At the altar stands Brother Ulrich, or someone wearing his skin. He opens his arms. "Welcome, gatekeeper," he says, his voice echoing oddly, as if it's being spoken from within your own mouth. Behind him, the crucifix has been replaced. Now a robed figure hangs there. No face, only a wide, empty mouth, open in a silent scream, and 3 red triangles carved into its chest. You kneel because there is nothing else left to do. Not in fear, not in devotion, but in surrender, because the gate is open now, and you've already stepped through. Section 9. You no longer count the days. Time inside the monastery no longer moves forward or backward. It coils, twists. It breathes in and out with the same rhythm as the walls, the shadows, your own trembling hands. The gate is open now, yes, but that was never the end. It was the invitation. You are not yourself anymore. Or rather, you are becoming something more than yourself, layer by layer. The part of you that flinched in fear, that called these visions hallucinations or nightmares, has fallen away like old skin. What's left is quieter, calmer, more attuned to the deep silence that has always existed beneath the surface of this place. And that silence is hungry. It begins with the bells. They ring again, but not at the usual times, not to mark prayer or labor or death. They ring between time, once at 3:17 a.m., again at 12:01 p.m., then precisely at 6:66 p.m., and each tone is slightly off, like it was recorded backwards, played through a cracked throat. No one mentions it. The brothers move differently now. Brother Matthias no longer shaves. His beard has grown long and wild, curling at unnatural angles. He walks barefoot everywhere, humming a tune you can never quite remember after he passes. His eyes glow faintly, just behind the iris. Brother Eligius spends his days in the cellar now, carving symbols into the barrels. When you try to speak to him, he answers only in questions. Do you believe pain is a door? Have you looked behind your own face? Brother Ulrich, meanwhile, has become something else entirely. He wears his habit like armor, but underneath his skin has taken on a parchment texture. Thin, translucent. You once caught a glimpse of his spine through his back, a long black seam down the middle like a zipper. He no longer eats. He only reads. From books that have no title, no author, no spine, books that bleed when you close them. And you're still here, still walking, still watching. You've taken to sitting in the cloister each night, staring at the now permanently open tile, the spiral staircase yawning endlessly downward. It pulses sometimes like it's breathing or waiting for something to crawl back up. Once you threw a pebble down the stairwell. It never hit bottom. Another night, you heard footsteps coming up. You didn't wait to see what arrived. The red-bound book now stays with you. You don't carry it anymore. It follows. When you leave your cell, it's on your bed. When you go to the garden, it sits beside the well. When you bathe, it lies quietly on the towel rack, pages fluttering in the windless room. One day, you open it and find your own face drawn in charcoal. Underneath the caption, "He remembers now." The next page bears a new phrase. "He once had another name. You don't remember it, but you want to." During Compline, the brothers gather without speaking. The chapel is different each night now, sometimes filled with fog, sometimes lit only by black candles that smell like burnt hair. Once the pews were all facing backward. Another time, you sat down and realized every other monk was you, wearing your face, your robes, your blank stare. The service begins with silence, then a chant. It is always the same three words, repeated without variation. Aperiator, veritas, carnem. It will open, the truth, the flesh. Sometimes you say it too, not because you believe, because something inside you is saying it already, whispering it through your lungs and out your mouth before you can even think. That night, the dream returns, but it's different. You stand in the bell tower again. The fire is gone. Now snow falls through the open roof. But it's not cold. It's warm. Burn each snowflake sizzles on your skin. You look up. The sky is made of eyes, billions of them. Watching, unblinking, at the center of them all, he stands. The monk with no face, no longer shadow, now flesh. His robe flutters without wind. His arms hang too long. His hands, black, fingerless stubs, drip with wax or blood or both. He speaks without mouth. It is time. You wake up screaming, but there's no sound, because your mouth won't open. You stumble through the monastery, clutching your face, gasping. It takes you half an hour before the paralysis breaks. Your lips peel apart with a sound like tearing cloth. Blood pours down your chin, but you are laughing. You don't know why, it just feels right. The next evening, a new monk arrives. You didn't know others could still come here. He's young, innocent. His eyes are bright, confused, hopeful. He bows when he enters the chapel. He greets you. You stare at him and realize, with a kind of sickening understanding, you envy him. Because he doesn't hear the hum yet. Because the gate hasn't begun to choose him, but it will. You know it. You were like him once, before the dreams, before the book, before you became the gate's mouthpiece. Later, you find him in the scriptorium. He's copying a passage from the Psalms, but the ink doesn't stay on the page. It evaporates. You walk over. He looks up, pale. "Brother," he whispers, "there's something wrong with the ink." You don't speak. You reach into your robe and hand him a different vial. He takes it, begins to write. You watch. The letters burn into the parchment like fire. He doesn't notice, yet. That night, he dreams. You watch from your bed as he thrashes. He gasps. He moans. He speaks the words. Aperiator, veritas, carnem. You smile, because the gate is still hungry, and now it has found another door. It's not just the monastery anymore. The rot has begun to spread. You notice it during morning prayers, what's left of them. The sun filters in through a warped window pane, and for a moment you see beyond the wall. Not outside, not into the woods, but into something else. The trees are there, yes, but they bend in unnatural shapes, their trunks stitched together with veins instead of bark. The sky is pale violet, and the moon hangs low and wrong, huge, cracked like an egg, oozing black light onto the ground below. You blink. It's gone, but the echo of it lingers in your eyes, like an after-image burned too deep. You try to speak to Brother Matthias, ask if he saw it too. He doesn't answer. Instead, he lifts his habit sleeve. His forearm has been carved. Symbols, long and looping, wrap around the bone like a spiral staircase. Each mark is fresh, red, angry. Between the letters, you see tiny faces, grinning. You ask him why. He only shrugs. To remember which world we belong to. The new monk is changing quickly. His name is Brother Cassian. You hear him whisper it to himself sometimes, as though trying not to forget, as though the monastery is already peeling it away. His eyes have dark circles now. He walks slower. He no longer questions the strange things, the birds that sit motionless on the windowsills, the food that never rots, the way everyone avoids mirrors. You catch him in the cloister one evening, standing at the edge of the gate. He's just looking, not moving, not praying, just staring down into the spiral. You ask what he sees. He says, "I think something waved at me." That night, the book gives you a gift. When you open it, a new page appears. No words, just a pressed object between the parchment, a tongue, small, human, wrapped in black thread. It's still moist. You drop the book, your knees go weak, but beneath the horror is something darker. Not fear, recognition. You know whose tongue it is. You don't remember the moment, but you know you're the one who took it, offered it, laid it at the altar below. And now the book has returned it, as if to say, good, but not enough. In the following days, the walls begin to bleed. Not constantly, just at times of silence, at the end of meals, during pauses in prayer, in the gaps between breaths. A thin red liquid seeps from the mortar, running downward in straight lines. It never pools, never stains the floor. It simply disappears, as if the monastery drinks it. One night, you place your finger beneath a drip and bring it to your tongue. It's not blood, it's ink, salted, ancient. And the moment it touches your lips, you hear voices, thousands of them, singing in a language you've never learned but now somehow understand. The refrain repeats, not fallen, not risen, only opened. You collapse to the floor, laughing. Brother Ulrich calls a gathering. You're not sure why. There's no official reason anymore. No rules, just instinct and obedience. The monks gather in the chapel. This time, all of them. Some are barely human now. One has eyes tattooed across his skull. Another carries a jar filled with teeth, his own perhaps, or someone else's. Brother Ulrich stands before the altar. His robes are gone. He wears only a thin shift, and beneath it, his chest has been carved into a sigil that seems to shift as you stare at it. He raises his hands and says, "Tonight, the gate will speak." No one asks what that means. You all simply nod, because deep down, you've been waiting. Later, you return to your cell to prepare, but your cell is gone. The hallway ends in a wall that didn't used to be there. You turn back, retrace your steps, same result. You are no longer in a place made of stone and prayer. You are inside a throat. The monastery has become a mouth, and you are walking deeper into it. When you finally arrive at the cloister again, the gate is no longer a tile. It's open, wide, breathing. The spiral stairs pulse with red light, and the monks descend one by one. You follow. You pass the point where the walls become bone. You pass the part where the stairs begin to whisper. You pass the last torch and step into dark. But your eyes adjust. They always do now. At the bottom lies the altar. The real one, built not of stone but of bodies. Stacked, arranged, kneeling. Some still alive. Mouths open in silent hymn. And in the center, he stands. The monk with no face. You fall to your knees. Not because you are told, because your body demands it. Because every part of you remembers now. He steps forward, holds out his hands, and offers you something wrapped in linen. You unwrap it slowly, inside, your own face, still warm, still smiling. Section 11. You don't scream, you just blink. Once, then again. And by the time your eyes open the second time, the monastery is gone. Not physically, but in your understanding of it. The walls are still there, stone and arch, candle and smoke, but the meaning has slipped away. They are no longer sanctuary, nor silence, nor history. They are skin. They breathe, they remember, they judge. The face in your hands, your face, smiles up at you with a serenity you've never felt. You wonder, in that flickering corner of your mind, if it is the one dreaming you now. The monks around you chant without mouths. Some kneel, others sway gently. One crawls across the floor on all fours, licking the ash from between the flagstones. Their eyes glow faintly red, and when you catch Brother Matthias's gaze, he winks with the wrong eye. The monk with no face moves among you. He does not walk, he glides. Each step leaves a soft scorch mark behind, and though his face is blank, you feel him smile again. Inside your head, he stops before Brother Cassian. The newest one, the last one. Cassian is shivering, but he doesn't move. You see tears on his cheeks. His lips tremble with a prayer you've forgotten how to say. The monk lifts a hand, and Cassian's mouth vanishes. Not cut, not sealed, just absent. His lips fold in, his jaw fuses. He sobs silently. You hear a voice whisper through the chamber. All vessels must be emptied before they are filled. It isn't cruel, it's instructional. You nod. The next few days, or what passes for days, become ritual. Each monk is given a task. Brother Eligius burns the old scrolls, one by one. Their smoke carries strange shapes, shadows with wings that crawl across the ceiling and vanish into corners. Brother Matthias tends to the gate, smearing oils around the spiral with his bare hands. The oils smell like death and honey, like burnt sugar left too long in the pan. His hands are always blistered. He never complains. You are tasked with listening. They give you no object, no scroll, no room. You are simply told, go where it's quiet and listen. So you do. You sit in the cloister, you sit in the refectory, you sit in the old scriptorium, its walls now pulsing faintly with breath, and you listen. At first there is nothing, then a hum, then a voice. Not a loud one, not clear, but constant. It speaks in a language that feels like dripping water and rusting metal, but you understand it. Or maybe your understanding is rewritten to match it. It tells you stories of monks who opened the gate centuries ago, of ones who tried to close it, of one long ago who escaped and was found 3 years later living in a cave scribbling the same phrase on every surface. The silence is not empty, it is him. One evening, you're summoned again. This time, not by a monk, by the monastery itself. You are walking the hallway behind the chapel when a door opens on its own. You step through. You find a staircase you've never seen. It leads upward, to a place above the bell tower, to a room you were never meant to see. Inside, a single chair, a basin filled with ink, a mirror shattered, and behind it covering the far wall, your own handwriting. Dozens, hundreds of pages you've written in dreams. Some are upside down, others written backward. Each one contains a single line. I gave it my name. You sit. You don't remember sitting, but you are sitting now. The ink in the basin is moving, swirling. You dip your finger, and without thinking begin to write. On the wall, across the broken mirror, across your own reflection. You write names, not yours, not yet, but you will, because the monk with no face has asked for a gift, and you've never said no. Brother Cassian is changing faster now. You see him in the garden where no plants grow anymore. He's whispering to the stones. He holds a dead bird in his hands and sings to it gently. Later, you pass him in the hall. He doesn't recognize you. His eyes are black, not dark. Black, like holes punched in parchment. You nod to him. He nods back, then keeps walking straight into the wall and vanishes. At night, the monastery shakes, but not from thunder or storm, from laughter, low and rolling, deep, belly-felt laughter from beneath the floorboards, the altar, the gate. The monk with no face is amused, and it is a terrible thing to behold. The next night, a procession begins. No one announces it. You simply feel it, like your feet are being pulled from your cell. The monks move through the corridors, barefoot, blindfolded, one behind the next. You join them. Because what else is there? Together you descend into the belly of the monastery, back to the altar of bone, and there, waiting, is the monk. This time he brings a book, bound in skin. He holds it aloft. You know what it is, the true text, the gospel of the gate. And tonight it is to be read aloud by you. You step forward. Your mouth opens before your mind does, and the words come. Not in sound, in color. The candlelight bends around your voice. The walls ripple. The monks moan in harmony. And beneath it all, something stirs. The gate flexes. The spiral pulses. The monastery breathes out. And something begins to climb. Section 12. The spiral staircase is wet again. You feel it beneath your bare feet. The stone slick with some clear fluid, warm and pulsing. Like the stairway is alive. Like it's weeping, or sweating, or both. The candle in your hand flickers, but it doesn't go out. It never does anymore. Even the fire has started obeying. You're not alone. The monks descend with you. None speak. Some have tongues missing. Others have no eyes. A few have no faces at all. Just smooth skin where mouths and noses once were, as if the gate has begun sculpting its chosen. And still they walk. One step after another into the dark that isn't dark anymore. Just thick. Behind you, the monk with no face moves like mist. You never see him touch the steps, but you hear them creak. Every now and then you feel a hand on your shoulder, but when you look, nothing is there. Below, the altar glows. It is different now. No longer made of bone. Now it breathes. Each inhale lifts the ceiling. Each exhale sends dust swirling from cracks in the stone. Atop it lies the book, the skin-bound one you read aloud just nights ago. It flutters when you approach, as if sensing you. Brother Matthias speaks, not in words, in light. His eyes glow faintly, and from his open mouth, a stream of shimmering dust rises. It forms symbols in the air, letters you can't read but feel, like thunder behind the eyes. Then a voice. He comes now. Be still. The gate opens wider. It doesn't look like a door anymore. It looks like a wound, a deep, raw slash torn into the world's flesh. You can't see beyond it, only the absence of everything you've ever known. The monks kneel, you kneel, and from the wound something emerges, not fast, not in a blaze of drama or terror, just quietly. The first thing you see is a hand, pale, thin, too many fingers. It reaches out, touches the stone, feels for reality. Then a foot, then robes, red-black, flowing like ink in water. Then the face, or the lack of one. It's the monk again, but he's different now. He has stepped fully into your world, and your bones ache with the pressure of his presence. Like something inside you is bowing, he walks among you. One monk reaches out to touch his robe. The monk turns, places one finger against the man's chest, and he shatters, not into blood, not into ash, into letters. Each character floats upward, spelling nothing until the wind scatters them. You do not reach. The monk stops before you. You look up. He raises a hand and slowly, carefully touches your forehead. You remember everything. You remember the day you first arrived here thinking it would be peace. You remember each dream, each whisper, each lie you told yourself. You remember what you are now. Not a monk, not a man, not even a name. You are a mouthpiece. You are the gate's herald. And tonight, the gate opens not just for one, but for all. You rise, so do the others. The monk with no face turns and walks into the gate. You follow. You expect pain, terror, death. You feel none of it. You feel truth. The place beyond is not fire. It is not void. It is color. Every shade you've never seen, every sound you've never heard. Music made of shapes and light that burns not your skin, but your history. Here, everything speaks in feeling. The walls pulse like lungs. You see the souls of monks long dead, floating in slow circles around an unseen sun. Their bodies are gone, but their robes remain. They nod to you, not in welcome, in recognition. You are one of them now, not dead, not alive, just beyond. Time passes. You don't know how much. You learn to move through the place behind the gate as if it's water. You are shown books written in veins, scrolls made of whispers. You study at altars made of memory. You pray not with words, but with intention. And slowly you begin to hear a new sound. Voices from outside. Faint, distant. Monks, new ones, arriving, fearing, changing. You smile, because now it's your turn to whisper, to guide, to dream for them, to place the red-bound book at the foot of their beds, to walk behind their eyes when they sleep, because every gate must open again, and every monastery must have its herald. You are ready. Section 13. You're standing in your cell again, but it isn't your cell. It was, once. The familiar stone walls are cracked now, leaking faint trickles of shadow that move against gravity. The window no longer shows the sky, but something far deeper, an ocean, maybe, but of stars, ash. You breathe, and the room exhales with you, warm and damp and humming low like a distant choir. The red-bound book lies open on your bed. It always does now. Its pages have turned themselves to a new chapter. This one bears no title, only an illustration. A monastery drawn from above, each room shaped like a sigil. At the center sits a pulsing circle, labeled not in words, but in a symbol you now understand innately. Mouth. You trace your finger along the illustration. The rooms shift beneath your touch. Walls bend, doors vanish. You're no longer reading. You're shaping. Outside, Brother Cassian walks in circles in the garden. He speaks softly, repeating the same phrase. He's dreaming through me now. He's dreaming through me now. His hands are covered in script, not ink, skin, grafted strips from something or someone stitched onto his arms. Each bears a single word, whisper, open, salt, light. You try to approach. He doesn't see you. Only hums, then disappears around the hedge. You don't follow. You don't need to. You'll see him again soon. In the right form. At Vespers, what's left of it, the chapel glows with crimson light. The stained glass windows have changed. Now they depict scenes that don't belong to any gospel you know. In one, a monk being swallowed by a spiral. In another, a faceless man cradling a child made entirely of flame. And in the final one, you, or what looks like you, but taller, thinner, and smiling with a mouth too wide. You flinch, but no one else seems to notice. Brother Ulrich stands at the altar. His body is translucent now, barely tethered to this world. Inside him, you see stars swirling like a galaxy trapped in a bottle. His voice, when it comes, doesn't come from his mouth. but from the walls, from your ribs, from under your tongue. He wakes when the world forgets his name. You know who he means. You chant the name with the others, not aloud, inside, and the walls sigh in relief. That night, the monastery shifts. You feel it. A long, slow grinding deep beneath your feet. Rooms move, cords extend. Your cell, once at the end of a hall, now sits at the center. You're the heart now, the mouth, the place where it all comes through. And you feel it, like pressure behind your eyes, like someone knocking from the inside. The book confirms it. It flips to a blank page, then writes, "The visitor is near." 3 nights later, the bells ring again. Not by rope, not by hand. They ring themselves. A deep, throbbing pulse, one long note followed by 3 short ones. Every monk rises, even those who haven't moved in weeks, even those who were presumed dead. They line the cloister and wait. You wait with them. No one speaks, because the guest is coming, and when he arrives, nothing will ever be the same. He doesn't walk in. He seeps, a shadow that slides down the wall like water, a smear that coalesces step by step pop until it forms a figure wrapped in velvet and fog. The guest has a face, but it isn't stable, it flickers. One moment it's a kindly old monk, the next your mother, then a stranger, then nothing at all. He speaks, not in sound, but in memory. You feel him inside you, flipping through your thoughts like pages, smiling at certain lines, lingering on others. He says, "We are pleased, but not complete." He lifts a finger, points to you. The monks bow. You feel your knees bending before you realize it. The guest walks to the gate, still open, still breathing. And from within it, he pulls a shape. It's small, wrapped in red cloth. You know what it is. You've seen it before. You dreamed of it before you ever arrived here. The succor of the gate. He cradles it like a baby, then offers it to you. You don't reach. Your arms move on their own. The moment your fingers close around it, you fall. Not physically, inward, downward, through yourself. You land in a place beyond sight, beyond time. You're back in the bell tower, but it's decayed, collapsed. Vines snake through the floor. Crows scream from the rafters. The bells have rusted to green skeletons. And at the center, the mirror, still cracked, still whole. You walk to it, you look, you see yourself. And behind you, the monk with no face. He places his hands on your shoulders, and suddenly you see what's truly in the mirror. Not a monk, not a man, not a victim, but the new gate, a living passage. Your eyes go dark, your mouth opens wide, and the spiral begins inside you. When you wake, the guest is gone. The monks are bowing. The altar is no longer present. It has folded itself into you. You feel it pulsing beneath your ribs. The book is gone too, but the words now live in your skin. And across the floor of the chapel, where no one dares step, appears one sentence burned into the stone. He dreams through you now. You don't smile, but the gate does. Section 40. You no longer eat. You no longer sleep. You wait, but not passively. Your waiting is purposeful, sacred, like the stillness of a blade before the plunge or the silence before a choir erupts in song. You sit at the center of the monastery, your monastery now, and you feel it breathing in rhythm with you. The stones beneath your feet pulse like veins. The windows no longer show sky or day or anything you remember. Instead, they flicker. Images of places far away or far inward. The sea boiling beneath a red moon. A city built of screaming mouths. A desert where monks walk upside down, chanting with sewn lips. You don't ask if they're visions or memories. You know the difference has stopped mattering. Brother Cassian is gone. Not dead. Gone. He vanished last night during the dark prayer, mid-chant, mid-step. One moment he stood beside you, eyes wide and bloodshot, whispering his own name to keep from losing it. The next, nothing. Only his robe left behind, folded perfectly. You check the book again, now etched into the chapel floor. One new word has appeared. Graduated. You smile, because you understand now. This was never about worship. It was about transformation, and the gate needs many forms. The monastery continues to change. The refectory is now an open field, still within the walls, but filled with long, whispering grass. Each blade hums when you brush it. At the center, a single table, laid out with objects you don't remember gathering. A crown of teeth, a chalice filled with silence, a scroll sealed with skin, a mirror that reflects nothing but other people. You sit at the table and watch the objects. They do not move, but they age, slowly. decaying by degrees and then renewing themselves over and over. You understand, these are your tools, your relics. One day, others will find them and begin their journey. In the evenings, the monks now gather in the gate room. But the gate is different. It's no longer a spiral or a hole or even a doorway. It is a light, terrifying in its stillness, a pure white glow suspended in the air like a blade. When you stare at it, your eyes burn, but when you close your eyes, you see clearly the other world, the real one, the place beyond names and faces, the place where the monk with no face is whole and waiting. You sit before the light and remember who you were, a pilgrim, a man with doubts, looking for peace. You remember arriving, full of questions. You remember your first dream, your first prayer, your first lie to yourself. This will pass. Now you know, it didn't pass. It entered, and it never left. The monks had begun carving again, but not into parchment, not into wood, into each other. Words etched in reverence, in devotion. The sentences make no sense when read aloud. But felt, they are revelations. Brother Matthias has the phrase, "He breathes through me," carved across his back. Brother Eligius bears, "My silence is a stairway along his arms." You don't carve, you don't have to. Your skin has already written its own scripture. One morning, the bells toll once, just once, and you know something is about to end or begin. You gather the monks, not because you were told, but because the moment asks for it. They arrive, one by one, their robes whispering secrets. They form a circle around the gate. The light pulses, brighter, faster, hotter. You step into the center, and the light reaches out. It touches your face, your chest, your ribs, and then it opens you, not with pain, with understanding. You see backward and forward. The first monastery buried in sand, where the first monk opened the gate with his own heartbeat. The second, carved into a glacier, where only one candle was ever lit, and it burned until the ice melted. The third, built upside down beneath a lake. And this one, yours. You speak now, but not with sound, with truth. The monks hear you in their bones, and they change. Some vanish instantly. Others collapse and blossom into shapes that crawl across the walls. One becomes a wind and sweeps out through the windows, never to return. One splits, a perfect mirror of himself, each half walking a different direction. And you remain, because you are not done, because the gate still breathes and the guest is returning. Later, when the light dims, the monastery looks small, like a shell you've outgrown. You walk its corridors with gentleness, touching the walls, remembering each step. The cell where you first heard the humming, the hallway where time folded, the cloister where the stone bled scripture. It's yours now. It always was, but it's time. The gate calls, the walls hum, the final page writes itself. He must walk outward, bearing the name forward. You nod, and the monastery bows. You walk toward the light and step through. Section 15. There is no sky where you emerge. Not in the way you remember it, not blue or cloudy or starlit. The sky is thought. It bends with your breath. It listens. It remembers you. You step forward, and the world builds beneath your feet. Not ground, not stone, but intention. Every movement you make is echoed, not as sound, but as creation. Trees grow where you pause. Shadows bloom when you exhale. You are not in hell. You are not in heaven. You are after. And this is the next monastery. It doesn't exist yet, but it will, because that's your task now. You are no longer a monk, no longer a herald. You are a builder, a weaver of walls, a former dreamer, now the one being dreamed by others. You don't speak. There is no need. Your thoughts mold the air. You imagine a bell tower and it rises, not a brick of memory. Each stone is a moment from your past life. The first time you doubted, the first time you believed, the last time you wept without understanding why. You imagine the gate. It appears not as a door but as a question, suspended midair, waiting to be asked, waiting to be opened. Time flows differently here. You do not measure it in days or sunrises or hours of prayer. You measure it in arrivals. You feel the first one from far away, a flicker, a ripple across the new monastery's edges. Someone is coming, a pilgrim, just like you once were. You make their cell soft, comforting. It has no door, only permission. You set a red-bound book on the bed. It doesn't have writing yet, but it will, because they will write it. And one day, long from now, they will stare at that book and whisper, "I remember this," and then the gate will open again. You walk through the unfinished halls, humming softly. Your voice causes walls to grow. Your breath plants candles. You smile, not because you are content, but because you understand. It's their turn now, to fear, to doubt, to question. And if they're strong, if they listen carefully in the right kind of silence, they'll hear you. You've become the whisper in the chapel, the breath behind the curtain, the voice in the dream that says, "Don't run, open the door." One day the pilgrim will arrive. They'll knock, and you'll answer, though they won't see you. They'll feel a chill, maybe, or smell the candle wax, or hear a bell that no one rang, and they'll step across the threshold and begin. And then slowly you'll shape them, not cruelly, not forcefully, just patiently. You'll help them remember who they are, what they left behind, what's still buried in their bones. You'll offer them choices that aren't really choices, gifts that aren't quite gifts. You'll watch as they resist, as they break, as they become. And one day, they'll walk through the gate too. And you'll smile, because that means it's time for another. This is your monastery now. It's not made of wood or stone or glass. It's made of you. And the gate, it's always open, because the dream never ends. It only passes candlelit from another, like a voice passed ear to ear, like a book written in red,